Hello everyone. For today's video, I thought I would go through some of the pages in this book. I got it a few months ago, and I've been wanting to do a video on it ever since then, so decided that now was a good time to do that. The book is called Masters of Deception, and it is about artists who use optical illusions in their artwork. And this is a great example here on the cover of this aqueduct arches slowly transforming into a ship on the waves. So the first part of it is just the introduction to what this book is about. Talking about some of the earliest examples of optical illusions in art. Primarily talking about things like 3D perspective painted on ceilings so that the ceiling looks much higher and bigger than it actually is. It's probably the most common form of optical illusion is painting and drawing in perspective. That is an optical illusion in and of itself. And then moving through with other types of illusions. This elongated skull that when you look at it from an angle does not look as elongated. Landscapes that also look like a face. The beard here and the chin and the eyes and the ears down here. Other forms of illusion. Seeing a scene in two different ways. Here we have two partygoers sitting at a table with drinks on it. But you can also see it as a skull. The same here with this lady looking in the mirror. This is an optical illusion of a different sort. This is a piece of artwork that when you stare at it, it looks like it vibrates because the colors are of high contrast and they are very closely spaced together. So your eye is constantly trying to adjust to see the image correctly, and that makes it vibrate. It's very cool. And then we get into specific examples of artists who used optical illusion. And this is Giuseppe, and I do not know how to pronounce his last name. Arcimboldo. And he painted in a style that was using different objects, almost like a collage of natural objects, but when put together in a certain way, made another picture. In this instance, it is flowers and some other leafy greens down here, and flowers up here, and they form a face. This is spring. And this is summer. We have wheat woven into a garment, and then various fruits and vegetables forming the hair and a hat and face. And in autumn, we have the slats of a wine barrel. We have root vegetables. We have pears and apples, mushrooms, lots of grapes, and then a pumpkin. And then finally we have winter, which is just a gnarled trunk or stump of a tree with mushrooms here. A little bit of fruit sticking out from the tree, and a little bit of vines around the ear. And this one is very fascinating. It is various animals curled together to make up a face. We have an ox and a lion and a lamb, elephant, a deer, horse, and a monkey, all different types of animals. This is very well done. I really like this one. So here you have the same thing with birds. And this is called, what is this called? This is called earth. This is called air, so that's why you have the birds. Fire. Here we have various things related to fire, such as literally sticks burning for the hair. This looks like some kind of cord or twine that could be burnt, perhaps for a fuse. And then metal that's been worked in the fire. And then water is all types of fish. And this one looks pretty gross, to tell you the truth, but it is at least very interesting. But it looks like it would really stink. So here's some other examples of very similar types of artwork. And then chapter 2 is about Salvador Dali, one of my favorite artists. He made a mastery of painting optical illusions. Here we have a scene with people sitting outside of a hut, but it could also be seen as a face with the eyes here, and the cheek, and the neck. I think pretty much everyone knows Salvador Dali. I think almost all of his paintings have some sort of optical illusion in them. This being the disappearing bust of Voltaire, which is very well done as far as being two images at once. It definitely looks like Voltaire's image there, but yet at the same time there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different people in the painting. This one's very hard to see. I actually saw this one in person, and it took quite a while for me to see the hallucinogenic toreador. And it is very well hidden. It is basically in this part of the image, with this green part being the tie, the mouth being here, and the nose here, and then the two eyes here, and then the hat coming around. Is very well hidden because there's all kinds of other stuff going on. And here we have paintings that are distorted until you put a mirror into the middle of them, and they correct themselves. And this artist is Sandro Del Prete, or Del Prete. Talks a bit about him. His work is definitely much more on the classical optical illusion of being able to see the same scene from two different perspectives. For instance, this looks like you were looking down onto the windowsill, but this perspective looks like you were looking up from below to the top of the window. Here we have a fence which looks like this sawhorse is at the bottom of the fence, and then it also looks like at the top of the fence. And this strip of paper illustrates the change in perspective from being like a railroad tie here to being like a fence slat here. Here we have a picture frame. It looks very cool. It almost looks like you could build that in real life, and it would really be amazing. So here we have a combination of images of these two people coming together. And here's a hand in a woman looking very similar. The breast here becoming the palm of the hand, and the fingers becoming the arms. Style is a little cartoony for my taste, but I think it works. I've seen this on the internet several times. It looks like two lovers in one way of looking at it, and another way is to see it as a series of dolphins forming the outline of the two figures. Here we have a rose, again looking like two people kissing. And we move on to Jos de May. Again, the ability to see the same piece of artwork from two different perspectives. Some classic optical illusions here, kind of based on some old paintings of the Middle Ages a little bit. Here we have these arches that look like they're intersecting with this series of arches, but yet they also look like they're at 90 degrees to each other. Some more illusions with windows. And then we have the other master of the optical illusion, and that is M.C. Escher. An amazing, technically brilliant artist, using pen and ink and etchings in a very mathematically precise manner. I admire his talent a lot, on top of his ability to create these amazing pieces of art. And the figures in the background coming to meet in the foreground. Here we have multiple perspectives, but done in a completely different and complex manner. This is one of my favorites, where it's looks as if the steps are always going up or always going down in a circle. Very well done. And everything else in here just supports and gives believability to the fact that this should be completely normal. Here we have another tessellation of shapes that fit together like puzzle pieces. And here's another artist, Shigo Fukuda. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Very interesting perspective there. I really like this one. It's very subtle, but because we know the Mona Lisa as a shape so well that only the very barest hint of it in this artwork brings it to mind. Is the shape of the garment here and just the barest hint of the eyes there and then the hands. Very well done. And here we have a series of shapes glued together, and when the light shines on them, they cast a silhouette that is completely different than what you would expect. So here it looks like a jumble of, looks like knives and forks and spoons and other various cutlery. But it turns out to be this very detailed shadow of a motorcycle. Amazing. Same thing here with a ship. And here he's actually taken some of Escher's drawings and converted them into 3D objects. And this is very neat. I would like to see this in person. It is a gateway into the Japan Expo in 1992. And it is like a three-dimensional optical illusion. And here we again have artwork inspired by other optical illusion artists from the past. And this blob here on the ground is reflected into the frame looking correct. And this looks like a jumbled mess until you look at it in a mirror, and it's a piano. Rob Gonsalves. I really like this artist. I've seen quite a few of his art on the internet. Here we have playing with the 3D space of a child sitting on the floor and other children taking the pieces into the puzzle to place them. And here playing with the leaves on the ground, becoming the leaves in the trees. Very beautiful. And the people who are flying the kites become puppets who are being manipulated. And this is just beautiful. It's a lake. And similar to the puzzle pieces, the people are carrying out these mirrors and laying them down. I always liked this one. It looked very comfortable and warm. This person walking across the snow and all of these nice pillowy beds. So even the colors are cool, and the scene is a winter scene. It always looked like these people were ready to snuggle in to their beds and be nice and warm. Very similar idea to the last one, except this time it looks like he's putting in the bricks to make the reflection of the house. And again, a very cozy image with these beds becoming the fields of the landscape. So very nice artwork. Optical illusions, something interesting, but also a very homespun quality of childhood and beautiful domestic landscapes. This is Mateo Hammakers. I wish they gave some pronunciation guides here, but they don't. So, some more 3D sculptural illusions, seen from various perspectives. They look impossible until you see that they are actually warped, looking at them from another perspective. Scott Kim, there's a name I can pronounce. And this is much more of a graphics designer perspective. We have the words false and the words true put together. The word illusion. Here's the word teach, reflected to spell the word learn. Same thing with upside and down. Identical becomes opposite. And this is a word tree over and over again to create the shape of a tree, like a fractal. Mirror, dyslexia, mathematics, joy to the world. All of these look the same, no matter if you're looking at the mirror image of them or if you're looking at them upside down. And this artist's name in chapter 10 is Kiyoshi Kitoka. Again, my best guess. And these are the type of optical illusions that appear to move on the page as you look at them. If you stare directly at this circle, it is stationary, but all of the ones around it, especially these on the very outside, seem to be spinning, especially as your eye travels from one to the other. They move, which is very cool. This whole image seems to be just vibrating in and out. It's very, very interesting. I think it has to do with the blurriness of the shapes on the outside with the high contrast, bright yellow and red dots that your eye is trying to bring into focus. These seem to move back and forth like this as your eye moves. And this is very similar to the spinning one that we saw on the other page. It's very cool to look at it and watch them spin. And these blocks are all lined up exactly vertically, but they look as if they are waving from side to side. And these also seem to spin as you look at them in your periphery. Again, more spinning. The same with these. This artist is known as Ken Knowlton. And his optical illusions tend to be the repetition of shapes to form like a dot matrix pattern. This is Jacques Cousteau, and it was made with seashells. And this is Helen Keller, made with braille dots type things. It's an interesting concept. Here we have someone's portrait on keyboards. And here we have Einstein created out of dice, with the dots on the dice providing a grayscale. You have puzzle pieces, and this is one single line that forms this image. And I really like this one. These are spools of thread. And I bet in real life this is absolutely gorgeous to look at because of the dimensionality of the different spools of thread as well as the texture. It almost looks shiny because of the light reflecting off of the different areas of the spools of thread. But this is gorgeous. I would like to see this in real life. And this is hard to see if there's anything in there. I don't really see it. And this is made out of pentominoes. This looks like it was done on the computer. It almost works. And this is made out of tanagram pieces. And finally, crosswords. Interesting. And this is Guido Moretti. Again, more 3D sculpture, optical illusions. From one angle, it looks like this. From another angle, it looks like this. Vic Muniz. These they look like line drawings, but they are made out of wire, twisted, to look almost like charcoal or pencil. This says this is a toned gelatin print, 16,000 yards of sewing thread to create that. That's a lot. Must be very large. Well, 20 inches by 24 inches. So not that big. So these are just threads. I assume they are stuck together in some way. Provide a textured This is kind of interesting. I'd like to see this in real life. I think this is not translating very well on the printed page. I guess this is just dirt that's been moved to provide the halftone shapes. It looks almost like it's made out of drips of chocolate or coffee or some dark liquid like that. That's pretty neat. And here we have more wires used instead of pencils, drawings. And this is neat. This is made up of army figures. Little plastic action men. And same here, more plastic toys. It's kind of neat. And here's Medusa made out of spaghetti. Some unusual mediums there. I don't know if those are really optical illusions, but more just using some interesting materials. Octavio Ocampo. And here we have much more of the classic optical illusions similar to Salvador Dali, with three figures here making a larger face. Looks very nice. Again here, her reflection in this case provides the other cheek, and her purse provides the lips. This is Don Quixote and the windmill and many other different faces down here all throughout the painting. There's even faces up here in the windmill. Here we have two figures entwined, kissing to form a head, and two figures down here forming a hand. The stars are forming robes and a halo. And various animals and faces, again making the Mona Lisa a very popular theme. He likes to hide faces all over the place in his paintings. It's really neat. I always liked, when I was a kid, a magazine called Highlights, and on the back they would always have a drawing. They had all these different hidden images in it, and you had to find them. I thought that was really neat. Here we have Christ on the donkey entering Jerusalem, creating a very precise portrait of his face. Esteban Oroz. And here we have the stretched landscape. When you put a metallic cylinder, in this case over top of where the sun is, you see that it is actually the portrait of Jules Verne. That's neat. Here we have a well and two doors, and it looks like a mirror, and then the portrait of MC Escher appears. So a lot of references to other similar type of artists in these works. And here we have the same effect with a shape that is looks like a pentagon, but it's a pyramid-shaped pentagon. And it makes this wave shape. That's kind of neat. Lots of references to other artwork here. This looks a little bit like Shakespeare, kind of. Here we have, looks like a face here in this archway. And John Pugh, or Pugh. And this is almost harking back to one of the very first pictures we saw of this book, which was the paintings on the ceilings that made them look like they had more depth. And taking that same concept and applying it to walls, so it looks like you're looking into the building and seeing something very unexpected. It's very well done. Great way to give depth to a otherwise flat wall. It looks like he's painting this wall. Now this is the actual painting of this person looking like he's fallen asleep. Again, referencing another famous painting in this work. This is nice. It's very open and airy. This nice arch. Looks like a very thick page of a book has been cut away. That's very nice. I think those are nice projects that beautify a city or a building. And this is Oscar Lutzward. I know I'm not pronouncing that correctly. More 3D painting or drawing. Very similar to some of the artists that we've seen in here before. Depending on how you look at it, it looks like you're seeing it from two different angles. Very geometric in its look. Chapter 18 is Roger Shepard. Some pen and ink drawings. The two profiles making up the candlestick. And these are banister rails making up the female figure shapes here. Shapes there for a frown or a smile, depending on which way you look at them. This is a person playing the saxophone. There's also a person's face. Termas. Wow, look at that. It's painted on a sphere. Those are beautiful. Another reference to MC Escher here with the two little lizards and the two men here. These are very cool. Again, I'd like to see these in person and just see what they look like. And then we have Rex Whistler. And we have this is called the King and his Queen. If you look at it from this direction, you see the king with the beard. But then you also see a queen here with her hair and her crown. These are quite strange. I remember seeing some of these as a child, specifically this one, and it kind of freaked me out a little bit. You have this policeman here with his collar, but then you also have someone with his mouth open in surprise. And it always freaked me out as a child. I did not appreciate the illusion as much as just the freakiness of the light shining from different directions on the faces made them look very strange. So that finishes up the book. We have some index and some other pages here. So I hope you've enjoyed this. I like optical illusion art. I like especially MC Escher and Salvador Dali. They are masters of what they do. So thank you for watching, and please subscribe to my channel. I have many more videos to make, and if you have any suggestions, just leave them in the comments. Thanks for watching. Bye.